Sean from the Damn Collective Coaching. If you enjoy health and fitness related content, then please remember to subscribe, click the bell, and select all for notifications. Thank you guys so much for watching and welcome. Today I'm doing my first question and answer video for you guys. I've got 6 questions here that I'm going to answer. If you would like your questions to be answered in one of my question and answer videos in the future, please comment below what that question is. You can also comment your thoughts on any of the answers that I give in today's video, whether you agree, disagree, and why. I would love to hear your thoughts. So let's get right into it with question number 1. All right, so I got my list here. Now, the first question is the only one from somebody who wanted to remain anonymous, so I'm just going to tell you what the question was, and then I'm going to answer it. They wanted to know what advice I would give to somebody who wants to start exercising but is nervous to. So it really depends. My answer to that is it really depends on a lot of factors. Are you nervous because of a medical condition? Are you nervous because you don't have any experience? Are you nervous because you're afraid of being weaker than you think you are, of not knowing what to do, or if you're doing the right thing, where maybe you're afraid of wasting time, which, first of all, as part of that, there's no such thing as wasting time. Any physical activity is going to be good if you're not doing any now. You should be active. So if you're nervous about starting physical activity, my general opinion, my general idea is to just get you by starting to move. When I was obese, I was extremely inactive, and so the first thing I did was I started working on my nutrition first to make sure that I was starting to eat healthier foods. I was starting to eliminate foods that weren't going to be so good for me, like soda and potato chips and things like that. The next step that I took was I started off by small things. I would stand up more often. I would go for walks. I started off just going down to the end of the street and back, and then I just increased the length of my walk every day until it got to a point where I either didn't have more time or I was feeling extremely fatigued at the end of it, whereas okay, that was like a good workout. And then the next step was that I started to go back to the gym, where I did either exercises that I knew very well or machines that I knew. And when I mean very well, I mean from, okay, well, a curl is a curl, a bench press is a bench press, things like that. Now, obviously you're not going to be the best at it right away, and there's tips, tricks, techniques that you can pick up as you gain experience and as you research into it more. But it's, if there also, just one last thing before I go too far off, if there's health concerns, then you obviously want to double check with the doctor to make sure it's safe for whatever physical activity you'd like to do. I would definitely say pick something that is kind of familiar to you in your mind, even if you don't necessarily have experience. One thing that I do with some of my clients, if they have no experience at all, is to start off just by, if you're sitting in a chair, sitting on the couch, just get up and sit down, kind of like box squats, where you just up and down, up and down, up and down. So you're starting to work your legs. You're starting to get some movement in. There's obviously a lot more that goes into it than that, but I think that's like a good first, general example of what you can do. So that's my general consensus. So start slow, start with things you're familiar with, start with things that will challenge you, but won't be so overwhelming that you're going to avoid it or that you won't be able to be consistent. Because when you first start out, just being able to be active consistently is the most important part, because if you're not doing anything, then you're not going to be progressing towards your goals. Question number 2 comes from my friend Rand, who is very active in the WSRT Fitness Facebook group, which I really greatly appreciate that. And if anybody out there has not yet joined that group and you want to have more interaction with me and with everybody else in this great community, you could definitely join the WSRT Fitness Facebook group. We're doing some great things there, which actually is in relation to the question that he asked. So his question is, will you take feedback on training program on those of us who do it so you can improve it? So if you don't know what he's talking about, it's because you're not part of the WSRT Fitness Facebook group. I have a subgroup off of that, which you can only get the information from the WSRT Fitness Facebook group. I am doing a Train with WSRT Fitness program where, starting October 20th, you can follow along with the exact workouts that I will be doing day in and day out. Now, the reason why it's starting October 20th, which is a Sunday, is I like to start everything on Sunday instead of a Monday, first of all. Secondly, because I'm working out 6 days a week, and Saturday is the one day I take off because that's family day. So therefore, it makes sense for the program to start on a Sunday since I work out 6 straight days. But you will get a PDF with what the program is over the course of the next 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, there's a 1 week transition period, and then it actually continues on another 8 weeks, 1 week transition period, and then another 8 weeks. It's 26 total weeks, and there are prizes and rewards for those who follow the entire program. Now, as far as his question, which is whether or not I'll take feedback, absolutely I'm going to take feedback. That's part of the reason why I'm doing it, because it would be ignorant of me to expect that I know everything. I am new in the world of being a personal trainer. I am still fairly new to the world of exercising, and I am brand new to the idea of bodybuilding. All of my workout experience so far has been progressing me towards weight loss. And though obviously there are only so many exercises that are different, a lot of them are actually the same, it's a completely different approach. The nutrition is completely different. There's a lot of changes. And so any help that I can get, even from those who are just following along with the program, would be fantastic. So I will gladly take feedback. Now, I might not take every suggestion given, or I might have a reason why I'm doing certain things a certain way, but I will at least respond and address anything that I don't take into account. I will at least explain why I'm not making those changes. So yes, absolutely, I will be taking any feedback I can get. I would love feedback because it's only going to make me better in the future, and which will in turn only help you following along with the program to get better. All right, question number 3 is, what is your meal prep style, and do you do ingredients or full meals? Now, this is from Erin, another active participant in the WSRT Fitness Facebook group, and actually she's got multiple of the questions that are on here. And I thank Erin for all these questions and for all of her participation in the community. Thank you so much. Please keep that up. So to answer your question on my meal prep style, so when I was losing weight, that was one of my biggest struggles, was figuring out a meal prep style that worked just for me. Because 1, I like cooking. 2, I'm kind of repetitive with my meals, but I just like them to taste good. I don't want my chicken to be dry. I don't want my beef to be like rock hard. I like it to, I like my steak like medium rare, and so I like flavor. I like just delicious food. So what I found worked for me is that I plan out what my meals are. So before I go shopping, I know what I'm going to eat. Now that I'm getting to the bodybuilding lifestyle, I eat the same thing almost every single day. But I can get into more detail at another time. But so I plan out all my meals and how much I need before I go grocery shopping. Then what I will do is I will pre-portion everything that I'm going to eat. So like when it comes to chicken, I have 6 ounces of chicken per serving. So I will actually weigh out 6 ounces of chicken, put it in its own Ziploc bag, and either put it in the fridge or the freezer, depending on how soon I'm going to be eating that particular bag of chicken. So it's something where I already know what I'm going to eat. It's already prepped, and then I will cook it the day of. Now, if it's an extremely busy day, I will cook it all in the morning for all my meals at the same time, and then just have it in the container that I can either eat as it is or warm up in the microwave if I need to. But a lot of the time, if I am at home with the kids, or I just don't have much going on, I just happen to not be running around anywhere, I will cook each meal at the time that I cook it, but everything is already prepped. So the only thing that I pre-cook is rice. I make rice once to twice a week, depending on how much I'm going to have. Right now, because I'm also having quite a bit of sweet potato, one large batch of brown rice does last me the week. So I cook that once. Takes less than an hour. I'm doing other things while I'm doing it. So that's really not a big deal. But yeah, besides that, I also feel it's important to let everybody know. So I only have a total of 12 different meals with that I will eat on a regular basis. Now, obviously, I'll switch it up every now and again to something just completely different. But I have these 12 main meals that I will switch between. It uses 4 different total protein sources, one at a time, obviously. But with each meal, each of those 12 meals, I can make them in 9 minutes or less. So I've made it convenient to cook my meal, so that way I'm always cooking it fresh. So my chicken is always a little juicy. It doesn't get dry. My steak is always properly cooked. My salmon is always, it's not like that weird overcooked texture or that reheated microwave texture. I hate reheating salmon. So though I've done it, and I will do it if I have to, but no. So that's how I approach my meal prep is just by that. I pre-portion ahead of time, make sure that it's properly thawed out, and if it's a meat product, and then I cook the day of at a minimum, but preferably right before I eat it. The next question is from my friend Eli at Awaken the Wolf Fat Loss, which if you haven't subscribed to his channel yet, definitely go and do that at the end of this video. He is an amazing guy who's lost over 100 pounds himself. So what his question is do you generally think there's room to move around within the program, such as when you are feeling extremely exhausted for some reason, or certain machines or equipment are not usable at the time? So I'm going to break that down to 2 different parts. The first part is when you're feeling exhausted. The second part is if machines aren't available at the time. So first of all, if you're feeling exhausted, you need to look at as why are you exhausted? Are you not sleeping enough? Is your nutrition off? Are you training at a different time? Is it the end of the workout and you you were going to balls to the wall in the first 2 exercises where you need to drop the weight or maybe switch things around to maybe work a different muscle group for a little bit? Like, okay, well, this time instead of doing my 3rd straight chest exercise, I'll just hit triceps for a second and let the chest rest a little bit. You need to look at all of those different factors. So now, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're feeling sick, if you're coming down with a cold, or if you're coming off of a cold, or some other illness, you need to take that into account, where you might need to back off of the weight a little bit. You might need to change your exercises. Yes, absolutely. I agree with changing your exercises. There's nothing wrong with changing up exercises. First of all, it provides a different stimulus to your muscle, which is always good. Muscle confusion is a great way to produce gains. You also need to look at as, sometimes, like I say, you're resting muscles for different lengths of time. Some muscles take longer to recover than others. So you need to keep that in mind. Like for example, my arms respond super well to volume. I can do 800 reps of arm day in 45 minutes. And I'll blow the hell out of my arms. And I'll do it with 15-second rest, or I'll do one arm then the other arm. I'll do alternating arms or alternating sets for each arm. I'll do all sorts of different things to just keep the intensity super high. And as soon as I'm done, within a half hour, I just did arms right before recording this video. It's only about 45 minutes later, and my arms are feeling like they could almost go do another workout again. My chest, however, gets very fatigued very quickly, and it takes longer to recover. Now, I also realize that my chest is very weak in comparison to where it should be, but at the same time, it's even dropping the weight. So you need to keep that in mind. Sometimes you need to make adjustments for that. Now, if somebody has written a program for you, it's always something where any program is for entertainment purposes only, and you can adjust that program as you feel safe, comfortable. Make any adjustment that you need to be able to make sure that you are getting the most out of that workout. Because if you're uncomfortable, if you're unsafe, if you are feeling off in any sort of way, then the workout's going to suffer. And if the workout suffers, you're not going to get the results that you want. So absolutely. And then the second part of that is if equipment's not usable at the time. Now that depends on, on it really doesn't depend on anything. If a piece of equipment's not available, either find a different way to do the same movement, or just switch the next exercise around, wait for that machine to open up, or if that machine is broken, find an alternative. So for example, a pec deck machine. If pec deck is in your program and that machine is taken up, you got 3 people waiting, and you only got one other exercise in your program, go do a dumbbell floor fly. So just lay on the floor. I mean, really, it's a better support for your shoulders, so you can actually probably load up the weight a little bit. The strength curve is a little bit different. So it's not the exact same exercise, but it trains the same muscle group, and you can take a different intensity to it. And that will also produce that different stimulus, which can also produce greater results. So absolutely, there's always room to move programs around. If you're designing your own program, everything should be an experimental process anyway, every day. I rarely do the same workout 2 times in a row, per body part. I'm obviously not trained the same body part 2 days in a row, but when I got back into the gym after my surgery, I was doing push-pull legs, twice a week. Push-pull legs, day off for those first couple of weeks. My 2 pull workouts, my 2 push workouts, my 2 leg workouts were different every single day. I switch exercises around. I will skip other exercises and replace them with something else, or I'll up the weight and the sets on a certain exercise. Everything is always an experimental process, switching things around, maximum muscle confusion, maximum effort. It's just so, yes, absolutely. So long ass explanation, turn short. Absolutely, there's room. There's always room to make changes in your program. This next question is the second one from Aaron, and it is, what do you think of a diet break? So diet breaks, I feel, can be something. So it really depends on the context. Now, if you are, I believe in the full message, you're talking about hitting a plateau after a while, and that's going to be very normal, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain muscle, gain strength. It doesn't matter what your goal is. Sooner or later, you're going to hit a spot where you just kind of get stuck, and you need to try something different to get going again. Now, if you're talking about specifically with weight loss, and it just seems like you've lost all the weight you can, you just kind of get stuck at that same weight for a couple of weeks, that's a good time to, going back to the muscle confusion part, completely change up your workout. So as far as a break from a diet, where if you're talking about going back up to maintenance calories, that's something that I am okay with, but doing it as a last resort. So first of all, if your nutrition is on point, you're hitting your numbers every day, whatever they are. If it's just a calorie number, you're hitting your calories every day. Well, what's the quality of the calories you're taking in look like? Are you getting all the proper macro and micronutrients? If you're doing your calories and macros that you're keeping track of, are you hitting all your macros as well? So there's a lot that goes into that, but ultimately what it comes down to is if you hit a plateau, the first thing I recommend doing is changing up your workout, change up your workouts completely. So what I would do first is switch workouts around. So like within the workout itself. So if you say start with bench press and then go to incline press, then some dips, and then finish with push-ups for your chest day, then go in there, warm up, and then do face pulls at the end. You should do face pulls at the end of every upper body workout at a minimum. So change it up. Go in and do the face pulls first, and then do your push-ups, and then go do your bench. Switching the order, switching things around where your body like, okay, hey, this is different. And then if that doesn't work, and your nutrition's been super on point, then at that point, try to go up to your estimated, TDEE. Try to get up to there for a week or two. Try to, just to give your body a chance to, okay, all right, we got this going on, and then drop it back down. So another thing that you can do, because I mentioned the first hour by trying to switch out your workout, you can always try to switch out your training split completely. So if you are, say, doing a push-pull legs, switch to a full body where you're doing each body part 3 times a day, or switch to an upper lower, or whatever would fit in with your schedule. Like for me, actually, if you join the Train with WSRT training program, what you'll notice is that the 1 week transition is going to be a completely different split from the other days. So, I'm sorry, from the other weeks. So it's something where it's going to be a completely different stimulus and allow an easy transition into what the next program will be. And it's something where by switching it up, sometimes your body will react that way. You need to keep in mind that our bodies, the human body, is the most adaptable thing on the planet. And we are very, very good at things that we do repetitively. That's why it's so important to form good habits. Good habits is that's just what we're meant to do, is do the same thing over and over and over again. That's why what our bodies are good at. So if you switch that up, our body won't be as efficient at it, and there will be a response. But ultimately, if it gets to the point where switching up your training program doesn't work, absolutely take a break. I wouldn't make it super long. I would have it under a controlled circumstance, and I would not be going into, if you're trying to lose weight, I would not be trying to go into a crazy caloric surplus of any sort. Maybe a slight surplus on a couple of days, but I would try to hang around right at that maintenance level so your body can recover. Also make sure you're getting the proper amount of rest. Make sure that each muscle group is getting proper time to heal before it's being trained again, and et cetera, et cetera. But if everything else is in line, yeah, take a couple of weeks, refocus. And there's also a mental factor to that too, because sometimes your brain just gets so worn down from trying so hard at focusing on every calorie, on every rep, on every exercise every day, every step. If you're doing if you're tracking your steps, our bodies get so so drained, our minds get so drained. Sometimes it's just nice to take that break and let ourselves refocus, which actually leads into the last question, which was also from Aaron, was a comment about that question, which is, why can't weight loss be the simple math equation that she always thought it was? So in simple words, it is. It is a simple math problem. If you are burning more calories than you take in, you will lose weight. If you are burning less calories than you take in, you will gain weight. However, what does complicate it a little bit is because our bodies adapt and become very efficient. Because our bodies are ever changing, ever moving, food, so a cup of broccoli, 1 cup of broccoli isn't necessarily the exact same number of calories and nutrients as the next cup of broccoli. There's always variations. Keep in mind, nutrition facts are averages, of tests, done with the food. So not everything is going to be perfect. So you need to keep in mind that the math equation is always changing. It is still that math equation. If you are in a caloric deficit, you will lose weight. If you are in a caloric surplus, you will gain weight. If you are in a positive nitrogen balance, you will gain muscle. So it is just as simple as you think it is. The problem is that the problem itself is not what is simple. Okay, the simple part is the fact that sometimes you need to just adjust. So, okay, can I do a little bit of this? Can I do a little bit less of that? Changing things up, is going to be a main factor to allowing your body to not get too comfortable. I mean, there's a reason why my program with the Train with WSRT Fitness program is going to be 8 weeks, then a transition week, then another 8 weeks. I mean, spoiler alert, each 8-week block, each of the 3 8-week blocks are going to be a completely different training split. They're all going to be 6 days because I want to make sure that I'm hitting every muscle group 2 to 3 times a week, depending on what the muscle group is. Except for abs, I do abs every day, which, that's like a big thing with Athlete X, just, 5, 6, 8 minutes the most at the end of a workout. But yeah, abs every day, everything else 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the muscle group. So there's always going to be 6 days a week, but there's going to be different splits every time. And the workouts are going to be slightly different. There will not be the exact same workout 2 times in a row if for the same particular day. It is about stimulating different responses in your body so that it does not become too efficient. That's how you're going to maximize your potential, maximize your gains, and yeah, and just go from there. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, definitely keep up at your progress. And if you need, if you need to switch it up, switch it up. And if you have questions on what you think you should switch up, you can always comment that below. I'd be more than happy to help anybody out with slight adjustments in their program. So that's all the questions for the first question and answer video. I hope that you got all the way to the end here. If you did, please remember to comment below your thoughts and also any questions that you might have or want me to do in a future question and answer video. Please feel free to post below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, click the bell and select all for notifications. You can follow me on Instagram at WSRT Fitness and join my Facebook group, WSRT Fitness. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.